In this class, we're going to look at business models as applied in the context of the internet. Clearly, when businesses use the internet, they must have a model in mind. They must have a way of doing it in mind. They must have a set of objectives. They must have an approach that they're happy with and one that they want to use in order to bring about the desired results. And presumably the desired results are straightforward enough. They are perhaps increased sales, greater profitability, or long-term sustainability in the market. So let's look at various models, business models, as applied in the context of the internet. For a start, the web was developed from academic and research and military uses way back into the 1970s and probably into the 1960s. And as such, it was separated from the business community. Its main uses were in communications from a military perspective or through research institutes or academic use at universities and so on. So it wasn't really used for business purposes. The commercialization of the internet didn't really start until somewhere in the 1990s. It's difficult to put a date on it. There wasn't a particular date that jumps out. It started in the 1990s. And it really started because the technology enabled it to happen. The technology was new, and there were little guidelines for those wishing to engage in this type of commerce. So everything was starting from scratch. The technology was new, the approaches that had to be used were new. Everything had to be devised, or if you like, invented. Everything had to start from the beginning. And even the business models that were used, the business models used in practice in terms of bricks and mortar, in terms of real tangible businesses, these models had to be amended because this was a new era. There were new issues to be confronted and new opportunities to be confronted as well in the context of the internet. By and large, they were young entrepreneurial individuals, and they developed techniques and processes from scratch suitable for this new type of business. And lots of new entrepreneurs came into existence. Not just Bill Gates and Microsoft, but lots of new ones, and they're still emerging all the time. Nowadays we think of Amazon, we think of Yahoo, we think of eBay, we think of Apple, we think of many new companies, and these are relatively new, but all the time there are even more companies coming into existence with new ideas of how to use this particular model, this internet model, and looking at the opportunities that are available. So let's look at some business models. For a start, it's important to note that the underlying business techniques don't change. Good business practice still requires cash flow, some estimate of sales, budgeting control, a business plan, some direction, some sort of focus on the market. And so the techniques that we'd expect in the context of, if you like, real businesses, bricks and mortar businesses, non-internet businesses, those techniques still apply, even though we're talking about the internet. So business requirements do not change. It is still the case that cash flow and estimates of final accounts and planning and so on, all of these issues are still relevant. At the proverbial end of the day, the business must show a surplus or profit in order to survive in the long run. That's the bottom line. The bottom line is the businesses must make a profit in order to succeed. So that does not change. Now, in terms of business models, well, these are ways in which we build commercial presence on the internet. And there are many new types or new names. And this list, the list I'm about to give you, is constantly being added to. New models are being developed, and writers and academics and people interested in this form of business are constantly developing new ideas about how the internet can successfully survive in a commercial sense. But let's look at some of the more, if you like, traditional models in the context of the internet, if that doesn't sound like a contradiction. But there's quite an extensive list, and as I said, that list is growing all the time, and people coming up with new ideas and new ways of doing things and new ways of exploiting the opportunities of the internet. Now, this is quite a long list, and I'm going to go through each of these models very quickly and quite succinctly. But it's important just to get a feel for what they are. And in the following slides, the slides that are going to come up, we'll go through these very briefly and just give an idea of what they are. So, business models. Well, key strategies for internet commerce. Well, the first strategy must be planning. It's important, it's essential that the business is properly planned. Business planning is crucial to any business, whether it's internet or not. They must have, the owners, the managers must have an idea of where they're going, how they're going to get there, what issues they're going to confront, how they're going to deal with the issues. Planning is vital. And the business must be controlled. There must be mechanisms for controlling the business to ensure that the business can be guided through the ups and downs of the commercial world. And in order to control it and to look at how well it's doing, it must be monitored. There must be ways of monitoring it in terms of financial control, looking at budgets, looking at how it's spending its resources and what return it's getting. And so there must be adequate monitoring. And when the business is going off tracks, for whatever reason, there must be a way of adjusting the business, of getting it back on track, getting it back in line with what has been planned. So if the business is veering off or it's not performing in the way that it was anticipated, there should be a way of returning it onto track and getting it back working. And of course, it should be able to look at issues like quality and making sure that the long run reputation of the business is being developed in terms of quality, the experience of the customers, and that the marketing objectives of dealing with and satisfying customer expectations are being adequately met. So let's look at some of these models, starting with the poster billboard model. It's a very low cost model, usually implied with a new business. So it's very low cost, very cheap way of setting up, getting the business up and running. It involves email circulation and an innovative and attractive site. It's the most basic. The business is set up, it sets up a website. The website has got good usability features. So it's quite an attractive site, one that will engage viewers and bring in people. But also it tries to collect emails and write to the people who have accessed the site or are showing an interest in the product and trying to generate sales out of building correspondence with those viewers. The danger, of course, in using emails is that the emails may be seen as spam or junk emails, and many people may have filtered them straight away into the spam box on their emails. So it's straightforward, it's easy, it's the way we normally think of almost businesses running, straightforward businesses online. But there are downsides, and if the business is seen as promoting spam, it can generate a bad reputation or it could be that simply the emails are filtered automatically by the email clients into spam boxes, so they're never actually read by the proposed recipient. Another model is the online Yellow Pages model. It's more expensive. It involves the creation of a menu pointing towards sources and information. It's more expensive because it may be that some sites operate catalogs of products and will advertise companies within their catalog, but they will charge to do so. So it's the issue is that the people who own the Yellow Pages model will advertise themselves, will advertise their product, and customers or viewers or browsers or whoever you want to call them will access that site, and in there they will find a type of Yellow Pages with different products listed under different headings and different links to different sites. But the people who advertise in the Yellow Pages model have to pay for it, and it can be expensive. They use specialist servers, wide area information servers, and different web servers to try and promote their this form of business, promote their site, the Yellow Pages site. The users access the site and then search for a particular product or search for a company or whatever, and are able to use the facilities of the site to try and get the information they want. So it's an online Yellow Pages. When the site is accessed, it will contain all the relevant product information. So it's an efficient way for people who want to search to find the information. But having said all of that, modern day search facilities such as Google, for example, it's not that onerous to try and find a list of products by simply searching using the Google search facilities. So this model is under threat from more sophisticated web browsers and search facilities offered by the more mainstream search engines. Brochure model, it provides information and only a small amount of promotional material. It provides some information about the product or about the company, not a lot. It's just it's a cyber brochure. It's a brochure, which means there's limited information, but companies may use it to try and promote themselves. A virtual storefront model, well, it's the most sophisticated model. It requires planning, time, money, and effort. This is when the business sets up a storefront model. It sets up a shop online. It provides full information services, marketing, online purchasing, and customer support. Everything you would expect to find in a bricks and mortar shop, everything you'd expect to find in a real shop, you should find in the virtual storefront model. So it's a full-scale model. Transactions are two-way using encrypted traffic. So the products are delivered by courier, let's say. In the case of information, software or entertainment products, they may be downloaded and purchased and immediately downloaded. They're software. So it could be films are downloaded or music is downloaded. But if it's a tactile product, a product which can be touched, a physical product, then it may be delivered by courier. A subscription model. Well, this model is used by many magazines and general publications. Quite simply, the subscriber signs up to the site and pays a subscription fee and receives updates of, it could be a virtual magazine, a magazine which is published online. They're becoming increasingly popular. There is a trend towards this type of delivery. People subscribe to different sites. Some sites make a charge. Some sites are free. You still have to sign up, but the site tries to generate revenue through advertising within the site itself. But some sites don't have advertising. You just simply pay a sum of money and subscribe to it. Newspapers and magazines are trying to exploit this particular type of model in particular. But it could apply to trade, academic journals, professional publications. In fact, any type of publication which in the past came out in paper format might now come out in a virtual sense, and a subscription would be required to access that material. Advertising model, well, sites offering services such as search engines offer advertising space on their web pages to obtain revenue. Google being a good example. It may be the case that if people access a particular site many times, that Google will identify through the IP address, through the Internet protocol address of the computer, that there is an interest in a particular site, and the next time the user accesses the search engine, various sites are listed which reflect past interest, past searches. It's very sophisticated, but it's how Google and Yahoo and the other search engines try to generate revenue. They're providing a free service for us to search the web, but in return they try to put advertisements in front of us, and more of these advertisements reflect what we were searching in the past. So the advertising may be targeted, so that search for a particular product will present advertisements for the product of that type. It's as if the browser knows what we're interested in, what we've searched in the past, and will place advertisements on our new searches saying, oh, you may still be interested in the following products or the following sites. So it's a very sophisticated technical approach to advertising. It may promote a product by segmenting, I should say, its presentation. It could do it by location. It could say the following products are available near you, so it knows where we live. We have enabled our location to be found. It could be by demographic factor, male, female, certain age groups, or it could just generally be the product is available. Now let's move to what's known as the 357 model. This model uses the internet as a communications tool. The model consists of three areas. First, focus. There are 3 points here. The focus of the model. Secondly, the strategy. There are 5 points. And thirdly, the tactics. There are 7 points. Let's look at each of these and just go through it quite quickly. So first of all, we start with the focus. Now, 3 steps to a better focus. First of all, the business needs to maintain their presence in the long run. So businesses need to be there in the long run. So the focus could be the long run. So what it does in terms of its strategies today is to promote itself in the long run. The internet is developing in popularity and acceptance of ATMs. So the internet, for example, is able to take payment. The internet is promoting itself as a different type of shopping experience. So the focus could be on identifying products that are suitable for delivery to customers who access the site and be able to take payment in a straightforward manner. And communication is essential for business. And of course the internet represents a cheap form of communication. Having a chat facility where a member of staff from the business is able to communicate directly with the person who's accessing the site. That's quite commonplace. So communications is facilitated through it, and the business is able to promote itself and promote its particular focus, what it wants to achieve, by enabling the viewers, the users of the site, to contact members of staff and pose questions and get answers and do it directly. So it's a new business approach. It's not the same as traditional business where purchasers had to make long journeys perhaps, or journeys in bad weather or whatever. Now it's much more convenient, and in response the internet has developed tools which facilitates this type of purchase. The five-dimensional strategy. First of all, communicating with existing customers, making sure that existing customers are still aware of the site and are up to date with new products and new facilities of the site. So there is communications with existing customers and providing service and support. Someone who bought a product through the site could be contacted to see what their experiences were, to get some feedback, ask them for a customer satisfaction survey form, which could be delivered and analysed indeed electronically. So it's a cheap way of getting information if the customers are willing to do so and don't find the request intrusive. So it's a question of communicating with prospective users or purchasers, communicating with them and being able to project what the site is about, what the product is about, and being able to deal with them in an efficient format. So it's augmenting traditional communications. If we go to a shop, we meet the shop assistant. We're able to speak to the shop assistant face to face. And that's good quality communications. We're able to ask questions and follow-up questions and get detailed information off the shop assistant. Well, it may be possible to ask similar questions in a chat facility that's linked to a site, a chat facility that relates to a particular product. It may be possible to ask those questions. In fact, if anyone has got questions that wish to be posed in this way, the developers of the site may capture those questions and put them into a frequently asked questions section, so that in future people with similar questions may go to the FAQ section and read past questions and find the answer without even contacting the chat facility of the site. Internet communications has developed immensely, from telephony to texting to emails from the past. All sorts of communications techniques are available, teleconferencing and so on. So and these are becoming more ubiquitous. These are becoming more established over time. So it's likely to be the case that our shopping experiences will change more and more over time, and particularly as these new facilities come on board. The tactical guide. Well, these are general points on which specific plans may be implemented. For example, building brand awareness and loyalty. If the site is good, good usability factors, the product is good, the experience of the purchasers are good, all of this is captured and presented in a nice, presentable, easily accessible manner. Brand awareness will be facilitated and there will be more loyalty towards the product. There is direct response promotions. When people ask a question, they're able to get an answer, and get an answer perhaps quite efficiently and fast through online facilities, talking to a company representative directly perhaps. So they're able to direct the customer in terms of their requirements, pick out the particular product that suits them best. There's education of the marketplace. People are becoming more aware of the marketplace. And the marketplace here is the virtual marketplace. People are becoming more familiar with how to use it. People have more confidence in making transactions and paying for transactions online. And this is probably fostered by some of the bigger sites, Amazon and eBay and so on, who make it easy to make purchases. So there's more knowledge about this type of model. Product demonstrations and distribution. Well, it is possible to see the product online. It may be the case that there are facilities where the product is able to be rotated or colors changed or the design tweaked in some way. Car sites are particularly useful in this context. It's possible to look at a new model car, change the color of the car and rotate the car, change certain facilities about the car and see what they look like. So what we would see in practice if we'd gone to a car showroom, we can see it online. In fact, sometimes we're able to see more online because we're able to change to many colors, we're able to change many facilities of the car. Whereas if we go to the showroom, we might just see one and we have to imagine what it would look like in a different color or in a different with different facilities. Public relations and press relations are facilitated online. Any comments that customers wish to make, criticisms for example, can be addressed, and they can be addressed openly, so that it's not just a question of customers having criticisms of the business or of the product and telling their friends privately. The customers may say publicly what they think about the product or the experience they've had if it wasn't good, and this gives an opportunity for the business to address those issues. And if there are real issues, then the company could change its practices. It's getting feedback which helps it promote itself in the long run. Research and product development is facilitated through the criticisms that customers may levy against the product. So criticisms are not necessarily bad. Criticisms can help the business to rethink the product, to develop the product, to engage in more research. Sometimes customers online may say, it's a nice product, but I wish it would do the following. Well, there's an area for research. Is it possible to add that facility to the product? And the research is, that information I should say, is free. It comes as a part of the site. If that was not there, the only way that the company can find out what customers want is by engaging in expensive market research. So that helps the business. And of course, service and support. Looking at the services of the business and looking at what support the business offers to the customer to see if it's appropriate and if it's what the customers truly like, what they want. Now, there are other sites and other approaches to the commercialization of the internet. There's the auction and reverse auction models. Auction models on the internet were used to sell surplus computer equipment in the past. Now that has changed. So in the past, computer producers may build excess amounts of stock and wish to sell these off, so they would have an auction online. Who bids the most for a particular product will get it. But more and more, this can be used for any product. And there are very good examples of this in eBay, where auctions are very popular. It's almost a fun thing to do, to make a bid on a product to see if they've won the product at that particular price. So eBay is one that stands out, and it sells all sorts of items, not just computer excess stock, but it could be anything. And people bid for the product. There is a time period, and at the end of the time period, the highest bid wins. Sometimes it's carried to the extreme. eBay once offered a human kidney for sale, but obviously we now have a better code of ethics, and eBay themselves police their site in great detail to make sure that the products that are sold are legitimate and ethically acceptable and so on. But we have to learn from the experience. I mean, back in the 90s, everything was experimental. People were just finding their way. The technology was new. The whole approach was new. So it's inevitable that companies will make mistakes, or something will slip through and get a lot of adverse publicity. But nowadays, there's a lot tighter control on what can be sold and purchased online. The affiliation model. Well, this model encourages website owners to become affiliates of other online sellers. So this is when websites join up. They have got some sort of logical connection between them. They have the facility to support each other. So they become affiliates. They become related. They help each other. So websites, one website promotes the other website and vice versa. And in this way, they increase their exposure on the internet. Of course, they have to make sure that both parties, or whoever's involved in the affiliation, have good reputations, are seen as good companies and good businesses by the consumer. If they have an affiliate who is not seen in a good light, it may damage their own organization. So it's important that the affiliates are all seen by customers as good companies, offering good products, good services, good facilities, and through the affiliate scheme, the companies are promoting each other. Amazon, who invites website owners to set up links to their books in return for a commission. So some companies encourage affiliates and try and widen their appeal in this way. Amazon, as I said, is one of the a good example of this. Now, we also have what's known as portal models. Portals are websites that offer a variety of internet services from a single location. A portal is, it could be based in a location, it could be based in a part of the city, and it advertises all the businesses within that part of the city, the restaurants, the supermarkets, the garages, the whatever. And the people within that location might want to advertise their services. It's similar to the yellow page model. So ideally, the portal will become the user's startup page. So users, instead of opening a website for themselves, they subscribe to the portal and they place their business details in the portal and they get a part of a web page and they're able to say that is their website. So they don't have to open a website. They simply advertise their business as a part of the portal. And the portal, for its part, offers search facilities, directories. It has malls, a shopping mall, so that the customers can enter a shopping mall and buy clothing in one shopping mall or buy DIY equipment in a different one or whatever. It may have an email facility and chat rooms, and it'll be policed by the staff who control the portal to make sure that it's running ethically and running cleanly. So portals, they were more popular than they are nowadays. They don't seem to be as popular anymore, but in the early stages, I should say, of the internet, this was seen as a good model and a way of promoting local businesses. Yahoo still has this type of facility and is quite successful in promoting businesses in this way. Now, strategies to successfully implement the business model. Well, plan, research, test new ideas. And that's very similar to traditional businesses. Plan the business, research the business, test new ideas. Control the production and costs. Again, the same as traditional businesses. Make sure there's good budgetary control, make sure costs are under control. Monitor the cost and market charges. Make sure that it is monitoring the costs, making sure that the budgets are in place and that it knows what it can spend and what it can't spend. Make sure that it's only purchasing items that will facilitate the business and promote the business. So there's good control over the business. Just changing market conditions, I should say there, and cost-saving technology. So always have an eye on cost-saving technology to try and reduce costs. So always try to promote the business and promote the products that the business sells, but try to do it in a cost-saving way, but not one that makes the business look cheap. One that makes the business look advanced, using advanced technology. And manage the quality of the business. It's very important that the business is seen as offering products of good quality so that customers will enjoy the experience of dealing with the business and will want to return, perhaps to make further purchases in the future because the business is offering good quality. The size of the business will determine the scale of these activities, obviously. Bigger businesses have more opportunities to plan, research, test new ideas. Small businesses may be too busy just trying to make a living than actually trying to research new products or develop new products. So a lot of this depends on the scale of the business. The size of the business determines the amount of new technology that can be adopted. It determines the amount of research that can take place and so on. So a lot of this must be seen in the context of the size of the business. Strategies to successfully implement the business model. Well, planning, as I said right from the outset, the internet business needs to have a well thought out business plan and set out its strategies. It's essential. All businesses need a business plan. All businesses need to know what they're doing, what market they're targeting, what their advantages in the market are, what's the competition, what are the threats to the business. It needs to have a good plan. It needs to control the business. It's important to control all aspects of the business, the costs of the business, the production, the personnel, as well as online costs, costs of servers and the costs of the website and distribution costs. So it's important to be able to control the business as would any business. Budgets must be set out and monitored. It's essential, even though it's an online business, the same techniques as applied in traditional business must be used. There must be budgetary control. Monitoring, well, there should be continuous monitoring of the business to make sure that it's not getting out of control. It must be monitored to make sure it's still on the tracks, it's still following the plan. The costs are being monitored properly. So it must adhere to its plans. It should adjust to any adverse conditions. It should be flexible enough to be able to take in new technology and new methods of working. And at the same time, it should be able to adjust to any adverse conditions that apply in the market. It should be able to see the adverse conditions and plan to deal with them and adjust the business so that it's able to cope with anything which is adverse. So it's important to have good website design, good usability factors, and it needs to be able to see any market trends or issues that are relevant for its line of business and to be able to benefit from some trends or to avoid others, as the case may be. Managing quality is absolutely vital for the long run. It's important to maintain a good reputation within the market, to have a good set of goods, a good delivery program, dispatch program, follow-up program, so that customers can report back their experiences, and an easy to follow payment system, good tracking system for delivery. So it's important that the business is able to offer quality right from the start. Obviously, this means that the possibility of broken links should be ruled out. The site should be scrupulously checked to make sure all the links are working and that error messages are avoided because they're unnecessary. Error messages represent poor corporate images. So there should not be the need for error messages. So customers won't deal with businesses that can't get their website correct. If they can't get the website correct, they're not going to offer a good product or a good service. Now, there are other popular business models. The Internet Commerce Customer Service Life Cycle. Now, Summerfield, there are 4 stages in the buyer's life cycle, according to Luke Summerfield. There's the awareness stage. Customers become aware of the product. They familiarize themselves with the brand and its products, and they don't want to be bombarded by sales and promotion. They just want to be aware of the product. They want to know what are the attributes of the product, what are the quality issues associated with the product, what's the price, the delivery, what does the product do, how does it link to other products, and they want to be aware. They don't want to be bombarded by emails and phoned up all the time. Then there's a consideration stage. This is the buyer looking more deeply into the product, and they need to see if this product is going to solve a problem they've got or some issue they've got. So in this case, the buyer may do some research and check reviews of the product, and may check out wider on the internet about related products, not just the particular product they've got in mind, but products which are related. Perhaps look at forums to see what people who purchased the product in the past have said about it. Look at the company and the image and the reputation of the business online. And they'll do all of this perhaps before they make the purchase. So there's a consideration stage. And then there's the decision stage. Having collated all this information, having collected the information, having read the reviews, the business, the purchaser, I should say, looks at the business and decides, do they want to purchase the item from the business? They may want to go back and just check out any lingering issues, just in case there was something they were not quite happy about. What did that reviewer mean by that following that point? Go back and check it again. But this is the decision stage, to buy or not to buy. And then, of course, there is what Summerfield calls the post-purchase delight. The customers want to be happy with their buying decision. If they're satisfied, the customer will begin to regularly interact with the company's brand and seek quality customer service. So there is an issue here that the purchaser, having made the purchase, want to be very happy with the product. And if they do, they will build up a loyalty to the business and will want to make repeat purchases. So there is another way of looking at the whole purchase decision-making process. Awareness stage, consideration, decision, and post-purchase. Encouraging ownership. Well, it's important that customers feel loyalty to the brand and the product. Internet commerce allows this by the provision of FAQs and services such as email. So the idea of FAQs is to take any comments that have been made about the product or the business in the past, answer those questions, answer them openly and honestly, and publish it as an FAQ, perhaps publish it on the website, so that customers visiting the website will see questions that perhaps they want answering, and they'll see what the answer was that was given by the business. If the answer is not adequate or does not address their particular issues, they may wish to go to the company through perhaps online chat facilities on the site and contact a company representative and ask essentially the same question, perhaps using different words, just to have it further explained. The integrated marketing model, it's the IM model, promotes the internet to market products and shape customers' attitudes and maintain corporate image. The idea is to promote the internet to market products. So it promotes the use of the internet, but it's promoting the use of the internet so as to market the products of the business and to shape customers' attitudes, to get customers familiar with the site, the website, getting customers familiar with the company, so that they feel very much relaxed about dealing online, making purchases online, but they also feel very relaxed about dealing with that particular company. They have confidence in the company, and they like the company. They like the website, they like the attitude and the what's been written about the company. So a coherent marketing strategy has to be developed, one which is based on this type of technology, online selling. Now, a coherent marketing strategy on the web involves the following attributes. Virtual atmospherics, in other words, looking at the website, looking at the feeling that people get off the website, the design of the website, how particular is the company about its website, the functionality of the website, the navigation of the website, the interactivity of the website, looking at everything there is to be felt about the business, because all of this reflects on the business. So the customer's experience is very important. The company should experience the product without actually acquiring it. They should know about the business. They should know about the product. They should be familiar with all aspects of the product and the business without actually doing anything, without purchasing it, just reading the site and reading what has been said about the product. So there may be visual images and multimedia components, bits of video or sound files or whatever. Something which projects knowledge of the product and of the business to the potential purchaser. So that's what we mean by virtual atmospherics. Employees, well, it's important that communications on the site empowers employees to be involved in the process and also solves problems for customers within the organization alike. So the employees of the business should not be excluded from participating. A good online business will allow comments, will allow employees, will allow customers, will allow casual visitors to make comments. And this way there's an openness, and the openness is felt by the purchasers. They felt that this business is open, it's not hiding anything, it's honest. It's a business that can be dealt with. The customers feel that they can purchase and they will have a good experience. Litter. Sites do have litter, old and redundant links. If the company can't be bothered to tidy up its website, then it can't be trusted to sell a product and give the customer a good experience. So old links that don't do anything or go in the wrong place, or they're seen as litter. Many sites also contained news, weather, sport, entertainment links to attract and maintain customers. This is not relevant to all business models. Some, perhaps the more portal type models, may have information of this nature. MSN might have it, or some of the bigger companies might produce local information to facilitate people within that area returning, so they can find out what the weather is, or what's the local news, or whatever, or items of sport or entertainment. But it depends on the nature of the site. Sometimes people want a particular product. They don't want to read what the news is, what the entertainment is. They want to read about the product. They don't want to be sidetracked into something else. They want to read about the product, make a decision to purchase it or not to purchase it, and not to be deflected into reading about sports or entertainment or whatever. So there needs to be care when using this type of information. So it's similar, as I said, to the creation of portal sites. Logos should be used effectively on the site to reinforce branding, but logos should not be overdone. Big graphics, logo graphics, take time to download, and the user of the site may become frustrated because it's taken a long time, or because the logo itself is not doing anything. It may create brand loyalty if there's a good experience at the end, but certainly it's the case that the company should avoid frustration on the part of users who have to wait for big logos, big images to be downloaded. Perhaps they've got a slow internet connection and they don't want to wait for a long time for some big logo to arrive. Personal experience. Some products, such as music and software, enable the customer to try before buying. That's some products are like that. Some you can have a sample. If you're thinking of buying an online CD, it may be possible perhaps to hear one track off the CD and then make a decision whether to purchase it or not. Advertising. Well, we dealt with the advertising model earlier, so we won't go across that again, but it's important that the advertising is squeaky clean, that it's honest and open and fair and reasonable and transparent and so on. So the advertising promotes the business and the customers can have confidence in the business because what it's advertising is what it delivers. Word of mouth. Well, bad news travels fast. The company should monitor news groups and test ideas on news groups to see how they are being received. It's important that the business maintains contact with news groups and with forums that relate to its product, so it can address any issues that has been discussed by previous purchasers. It's important that the company represents itself and puts forward its own views regarding any issues. Public relations. Well, this is a new and increasingly popular use of the web. I say new, it's been around for maybe 10-15 years, but it's becoming increasingly popular. It's used a lot by governments, the press, and by companies. They try to handle issues. Perhaps if there is an adverse issue, if a product is failing or someone's been hurt by a product, there's a public relations issue and the company might want to deal with this through a public relations part of a site. Products and services. Well, the internet is an effective and cheap way of distributing product information. The cyber brochure model may be used, and we discussed this one earlier. It's just simply a small brochure about the product, which may be free to download. It may be made accessible through the website, or it may be put into other websites, or affiliates may make links to it. But essentially what it is just a small download, or it could be just access to a separate HTML page which talks about the product and gives some facts about the product. So that's possible. Popular culture. Well, by associating commercial sites with popular icons, cyber businesses can increase product and brand knowledge, relating a product to a sports star or a film star or to something which is popular, a popular piece of music. It may create a popular image of the product and may promote sales and awareness of the product and of the business in this way. For example, by associating sites with popular sporting occasions, sporting and entertainment personalities, fashion trends. And that's all there is in this one. It's a long class. It's approximately an hour. I suggest very strongly that you deal with this on several occasions. Go through it, make notes, go back, go forwards, understand each of the models and get some feeling for each of the models. Have a good look at the material, freeze frame it, make your notes, wind it forward, wind it backwards, and try and pick up on the different types of commercial models that are used in the context of the internet. That's all I'm going to deal with in this, so I'm going to say thank you for watching.